Hello, welcome to Jazz Is
Jazz's
MasterClass series
at the National Jazz Museum
at the National Jazz Museum in Harlem.
I am Sekou McMiller, the Curator of Special Projects.
My name is Albert Marquez, Zach O'Farrell.
My name is Shirazette Titten.
And we are in conversation with the legendary Bertha Hope. Jazz could only have happened here in America.
The key to everything was the radio.
So this world is too dense. 15 minutes isn't enough to cover it all.
Are you ready? I am. When we think about justice as transformational, we can think about transforming the sets of conditions for which injustice happens in the first place, because we need to ask, why is the injustice, right, even?
So we've spoken about like jazz being created and coming through and being birthed through Black American culture during a very trying time in U.S. history, which is the Jim Crow era. And then we spoke about how then now and to this day, currently jazz just manifests itself within our culture, but also the culture manifests itself within jazz as it's interrelated, interlaced. And when I approached you about, coming and speaking about something with jazz and social justice, you framed it as jazz culture and justice. And so I was just very curious about that. I'm always curious when people reframe because it gives me a moment to say, oh, I'm gonna learn something.
Right.
So through this conversation and perspective, how does justice show up, is achieved? What role does jazz play, if at all, or how does this interplay?
It absolutely does, and has,
Okay.
and continues to. Now, at the Institute of Jazz and Gender Justice, the Berkeley Institute of Jazz and Gender Justice, founded by Terry Lynn Carrington back in 2018, the jazz, justice is in our name intentionally, which is brought about actually through conversation with two of our board members, and I'll share who are our advisory board. So on our advisory board, we are very grateful to have Dr. Gina Dent, Dr. Angela Davis, Dr. Farah Jasmine Griffin, as well as Carrie Mae Weems. So it's quite a brain trust and amazing to also have their support. But justice is intentionally in our name, which comes about again through a conversation Terry was having with Dr. Gina Dent and Dr. Angela Davis. And so when we are thinking about justice at our institute, and then just more broadly, we're thinking about justice in terms of transformation, right? When we think about justice as transformational, we can think about transforming the sets of conditions for which injustice happens in the first place, because we need to ask, why is the injustice, right, even there? So of course, we have many jazz artists who have lent their artistry and their voice to social justice, to social change, have actively been a part of movements. That's never not been the case, right? We have to think about just examples such as Charles Mingus and in his Fables of Faubus, which is absolutely a critique and a call out to segregationist Orville Faubus, the governor at the time in Arkansas, right? Many people will know well of Nina Simone's work, and but specifically Mississippi Goddam, of course, Strange Fruit, right? Absolutely. And what Billie Holiday also risked, right? To not only, because she didn't only perform it once, it became a part of her repertoire and was very much not only risking her livelihood, but often her physical safety when performing that, right? So we can think about Max Roach in We Insist, right? Which also is included is Abby, which includes Abby Lincoln as well. So But of course, these we're also talking about musicians who are people, who are African American, who are directly being impacted, right, by the social injustice as it is happening in the United States. But that's not to say either that they were only concerned with that either, right? But absolutely that has been the case. But it is really unsurprising also when you think about the fact that jazz itself is transformational music.
It is. It is. I agree with you, but I would love for you to expand on how the music itself is transformational.
I would say in its inception, jazz is the music is already progressive. It already maybe pushing against, if you will, or defying certain expectations, or even about what music should be, or how it should sound, or how it should be performed, or who should have performed it. And so that is already there, and jazz has already changed the world, right? It didn't just impact America and change the United States or and influence. It's the entire, the entire world. So, I mean, we can think about like trying to go through a list, but of these, this is because but you're not going to, if I try to say, well, it's this note or this kind of notes. Or maybe this instrumentation, it's in the heart of the music, and because the heart of the music is coming from the heart of a people, the heart of a community, and of that history and of that culture, and then goes on to include more and more and more. So my evidence is that I've jazz has already changed the world. So that is evidence of and impacted and influenced and still does. So that is already, to me, evidence that, what more evidence do you need, I guess, that it is transformational? Yeah.
It surely is. Thank you so much, Agent Burrell Wood.
Thank
For
you,
joining
Sekou.
us in this conversation and also enlightening us with your amazing knowledge and just your great sensibility and understanding of this topic. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. This was Jazz is Masterclass series. I am Sekou McMiller, the curator of special projects here at the National Jazz Museum in Harlem. Thank you so much.